Steelers, Raiders, and these teams used to feature a bunch of tough guys. They do again, Guy, with Lawrence Timmons coming off a game where he played with a broken hand, and you got a flu shot yesterday, so it's just a weekend full of tough guys.
Yeah, me and Lawrence have a lot in common.
You didn't make 17 tackles last week, however.
I worry about him this week, though. At what point in the game did he break it? Did we ever figure that out exactly?
According to Ike Taylor on a special edition of the Ike Taylor Show last night, he didn't say and wouldn't tell the coaches until after the game he had it broke anyway. But, Timmons is kind of the quiet, unassuming leader of this defense and part of a group that's gaining momentum and confidence. And a rare challenge this week with Terrell Pryor and a running quarterback, a mobile quarterback.
Well, I think actually with the linebacking position, as long as you can play with the pain, I think the only thing it might, if he has an opportunity for an interception, that's about the place where it would limit you, or bother you the most.
Be able to grab a little bit.
What worries me, Ken, overall is just the fact that, and really past history, I guess, shouldn't mean anything. They've never played well out there. I can think of, going out there and losing a playoff game and getting thumped about 1985 or whenever that was. I think it was Tunch's rookie year. I think about the wars that they had with them in the Chuck Noll days, the AFC Championship games, the two recent trips out there when the Raiders were bad. I think his Raiders team is better than the last two that beat them out there. They've lost 9 of the 14 times they've gone there, and that overall bothers me.
Well, clearly they got some history here, recent history, which has not been good. Also, the West Coast trips have not been pleasant. Mike Tomlin's staying the course, though. They're not going to change the way they do anything. So I don't know if that's arrogant or defiant or whatever you want to phrase it. Players will deny that has an impact, and there's no excuse to be made. But there are a lot of things to be fearful of here. The Raiders off a bye week, and they do have some talent too. I think.
I got some good news for you. The Raiders have lost 10 straight times coming off a bye. How about that?
Okay, well, there's your fact.
Byes have not helped them at all.
Well, which is the stronger stat coming in here then? The Steelers can't win on the West Coast or out of their own time zone, or the Raiders can't win off a bye week. But they've got some good players. Charles Woodson was added. Tracy Porter, the last time he played Ben Roethlisberger, had a pick 6 for the Broncos. So they add those two pieces. Lamar Houston, in his past, he can get after the quarterback. And they've got skill position players. We saw that last year. They put up 34 points on this Steelers team without Polamalu.
Yeah, McFadden's banged up. I think he's got a hamstring issue. I don't know that you're going to see the full brunt of him. Their offensive line is a mess right now. The last time out against Kansas City, they couldn't protect Pryor at all. He was sacked 9 times. He threw 3 interceptions. He'd been pretty clean a couple of games before that. And the Steelers don't have the defense that Kansas City does right now, but I still think there's an area to lick your chops there at some of the stuff going on with the Raiders up front.
There is. That was on the road, but this will be home. But I expect a lot of Steelers fans there. There always is, especially on the West Coast, Steeler Nation, and displaced or traveling, whatever the case may be. If they win this game, Guy, and get to 3-4, what does it mean for the team? And if they lose and go to 2-5, what does it mean?
Well, I think if they lose, they're really, really in trouble. They'll obviously be in the most trouble they've been. I mean, you're almost halfway through the season now, 3 games under 500. The key is, the first thing you got to do is try to make the playoffs, try to do some damage in the division, and the Bengals are going to be at worst 2.5 games in front of you if you lose the game. If you win the game, you're going to be tied with Baltimore. They have a bye. I fully expect the Browns to lose this week, so you're probably going to be, a half game behind them, or no, you'd be tied
sort
with Baltimore.
In the cellar with them.
You'd be tied for second place. You'd pass the Browns up. So, I mean, now you're still 2.5 if Cincinnati wins behind. But I think, when you're trying to leapfrog a couple of teams, you're when you can focus on one and you have a game left with them, and maybe you can make up, you've already had your bye. Maybe they lose the week that you win the week that they're off. So, I think it's pivotal. And I think when you start the season 0-4, pretty much every game becomes a must-win, unless you win 10 in a row or something. You can't. There's no margin for error anymore. You can't lose. Almost every team, every year loses to a team. You're like, how in the heck did they lose to Minnesota? Or how in the heck did they? And almost every year you win a game, you're like, geez, how did they go to? Fill in the blank, the hot team. How'd they go to Denver and win that game? Denver finished 14-2. That kind of stuff happens every year, but you can't have any more of it happen now. They've lost 4.
You've used them up.
Yeah,
used up your mulligans.
The jokers are gone. Yeah.
If you win, though, we're talking next week about a big New England game and then a chance to get back to 500 in Foxborough. So, pivotal weekend for sure. Guy Junker, Ken Laird, all brought to you by Mr. Magic Car Wash. 5 great convenient locations in the South Hills and online at MrMagicCarWash.com.